as a parent, it gets really hard to come up with new conversation starters and things to talk about. And
no one ever told
really
you
great.
before you had kids just how complicated you would find. Like talking to your kid is like being in the most awkward social experiment. But like nobody ever tells you that like you're like, how was your day? Good. What'd you learn today? Not much.
Leaders from Asheville and Buncombe County.
From the newsroom to the nursery.
We're juggling a demanding career on live TV with the demands of motherhood.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Karen.
They are AnchorMoms.
Oh, hey.
Hi, Katie.
Hey, Karen.
Welcome into AnchorMoms. So guess what? When this episode drops, it is Thanksgiving tomorrow.
It's wild.
Are you ready? Are you ready for it?
Are you ready for it? Yeah, I am. This is so. Brian really chastised me for saying this. And I know that it is, it's not the right thing to say and it's not the right way to feel. But I am like ready for 2024 to be over. And I am basically like, let's do it. Thanksgiving, Christmas, done. Let's like cruise into 2025. It has just been such. This is not what you wanted me to say for the Thanksgiving episode,
no,
is it?
I'm here. I'm listening.
I just it's just been a year and so yeah, I'm ready for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is late this year and I like all along I've been like, oh, okay, we still have 2 more weeks until Thanksgiving. It's been a really it's been a tough year in the old Killen household. And so I've been kind of ready for it. We don't have any big plans. We are we're going to stay here for the actual day. I already ordered my food.
Oh, nice.
I'm picking it up.
Oh, I love that. I love a good Thanksgiving.
Yes, I'm not.
catered.
I think River and I, we haven't done it yet, but we're going to make a pumpkin pie.
Fun.
But everything else I like picked up. I think our sweet nanny and her husband are coming over. We're going to like have it in our like plywooded up house and we're going to get our Christmas tree and we're going to decorate.
Asheville 2024
It's just honestly, it's
Thanksgiving.
like super simple, and that's sort of where I am. Like that's where I need to meet the holidays this year. Just in light of Helene in the house, in the tree, and I'm not sad about it. Now I will say this, and this was planned before the storm on Friday.
Black Friday,
the Friday after Thanksgiving here, we are going to go to Dollywood.
So
we had
fun.
planned that. We knew we were going to be here this year and that we weren't going to have family. And so I'm excited about that too.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I love Dollywood.
I know. I've never been at Christmas time. So Dollywood, if you're not I don't know, if you live under a rock, it's
I think Dollywood is a little, like, I don't think I knew about Dollywood before I moved to this part of the country.
I didn't either. So I grew up in Pennsylvania and I don't think I knew about Dollywood. But down here, I mean, people go crazy for
big.
Dollywood. Yeah. It's Dolly Parton's like amusement park and the Great Smokies. And it's fun and they do cool holiday things. And we're going to stay at the resort, one of the resort hotels.
The new one?
Not the new one.
Okay. I mean, that's the one we usually stay at, the one you're staying at.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally like our favorite place.
Yeah, I know. And
We love
I have to
Dollywood.
tell you, like, 20-year-old Katie is like, are you stop it. You're excited to go to stay at a resort at Dollywood? Yes, I am. Yes,
It's amazing.
I am.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That'll be nice. We are still kind of figuring out our plans, which is very also like post Helene 2024. Yeah, I think we're going to get to go away for a couple of days and see family, which will be really nice. A lot of family who we haven't seen since all of this. So that'll be good. It's just, I mean, it's funny, even getting to Tennessee is like, we have to figure out if we can even drive over there because of the interstate situation
And
from the storm.
Dollywood is the same way.
Yeah.
It's west. So I-40 right now, west of Asheville at the North Carolina-Tennessee border, the interstate disintegrated in the storm.
Still closed,
so now there are all these workarounds and detours. But I understand that traffic is really bad around the detours. So we've been kind of the same way. Like I've made a mental note to what time are we going to leave and like how are we going to navigate around
It's just
all that.
unbelievable that, 2 months after the storm, we're still like, okay, how is this going to impact our Thanksgiving plans? Yeah, I do know. I can say, I feel like I brought this up before on previous Thanksgivings on this podcast, but I could have it all catered and be really happy. I appreciate people who cook great meals on Thanksgiving. I am not one of them.
No,
I'm not a
me
good cook,
neither.
and I really don't want to be cooking. And so the wonderful news is I think that our family is doing, I don't even know. I haven't even asked the question about where the food is coming from. But
where they're sourcing the food?
I was told that I don't have to bring anything.
Amazing.
Like, we are going to take care of your little hurricane troubled family and just come on in.
Amazing. So
that is good news. And, for Katie and I, oftentimes we've had to work Thanksgiving. We're both off. So that's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. We usually do, one of those turkeys that you make and everybody writes what they're grateful for. And I was saying to the kids, we got to get that out. And one of the kids said, we have to remember how grateful we are for our house.
Yeah.
And it's like a really stark reminder that this year we are very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Our little community, our town has been through an awful lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we, it's a good time to think about all that we
This is the year to be
Mm-hmm.
to look at your circumstances and be thankful for all that you have. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Friends.
It is also on this day that this episode is being released, my daughter's 6th birthday. So a little happy birthday to her.
Benny, I remember when she was born.
And what's funny, next year her birthday will be on Thanksgiving Day.
Amazing, right?
Or no? Well, I don't know how she's going to feel about it. I would love it.
I would love it too.
But I don't have to go to work. I get to eat a lot of food and relax and watch some football and a parade. Sign me up.
But that's adult you.
That's adult me.
I know.
She's probably going to be like, great, I'm not in school. I can't take snacks into my friends. I don't have a
share
party.
The day with Thanksgiving. Yeah, she'll get there. Bennett, you'll get there.
Sorry.
Yeah, you could have planned that a little bit better.
We did not plan that.
No.
All right, this first article is from Real Simple. This is great. Questions for parents to ask kids of all ages. And it's not just
at the Thanksgiving table.
At the Thanksgiving table, sorry. And it's not just that. It goes into Katie sprung some of these on me earlier. We'll post it on our Instagram page, but it's questions to ask friends to ask friends, questions for kids to ask adults. There's lots of different categories, and the questions are really good, really thought-provoking. A couple of my favorites in the category of parents to ask kids: pretend you just won $5 million. What would you spend it on? If you could do a redo yesterday, what would you change? What do you like most about yourself? We've had some of these kind of similar lists on before, and I think these are really great. As a parent, it gets really hard to come up with new conversation starters and things to talk about. And
no one ever told
really
you
great.
Before you had kids just how complicated you would find. Talking to your kid is like being in the most awkward social experiment. Nobody ever tells you that you're like, how was your day? Good. What'd you learn today? Not much. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nobody ever told me that that it's a real art.
And at our house, I feel like, especially I'm just thinking about at the dinner table, it's either we have some of these topics and conversation starters, or else it's just screaming.
Mm-hmm.
Or else they start going down a weird path that usually leads to
there's no in between.
Poop or something taboo or can you do this weird trick? I don't know. It just always goes to a very odd place.
Yeah.
And it's usually involves screaming.
Mm-hmm.
So these are always good because we need to let's keep the train on the tracks here, folks.
Yes.
Let's bring everybody in, talk about something sensible that will be good for everybody. Yeah, I think the other thing we do a lot at our house is this or that. So
that's a good one. We do that one as well.
Henry's really big on that. Okay, what would you pick? Chocolate chip or peanut butter if you could only eat one cookie the rest of your life? So we do a lot of those.
Yeah. So this article has questions for parents to ask kids, questions for kids to ask parents.
Questions for kids to ask grandparents, which I thought was a good one.
Questions for friends to ask friends.
Mm-hmm. What were some of your favorites from any category?
Okay. From the questions for kids to ask parents, if you could have named yourself, what would you have picked? And what about me is the most and least like you? I could think of these. I knew these answers right away if we were to ask these.
Well, on the name one, Bennett yesterday
Oh,
said,
I already know Benny's. Ellie.
Oh, well, yesterday she said Ella, but
Oh.
close. But she's like, can I change my name to Ella? And I'm like, well, you have a sister named Ella Ray.
Yeah.
So that would be a bit confusing,
Yeah.
right? And she's like, oh, well, I'm changing it when I get older.
And
I'm
she
like,
might.
oh, okay. But also, like, do you not see where this would present like some issues?
Yeah.
That, like, basically two of my daughters have the same name.
This was a hot topic when
at
we
the
were
sleepover?
driving to the sleepover other week.
What's River's
Hazel.
name?
But, it's because she knew that she knows that she was almost a Hazel. And of course, it's like Murphy's Law. Your kid is like.
I don't remember that Hazel was on the
it was like between
top
River
three.
and Hazel.
Okay. I forgot that.
And
I do love Hazel.
I love Hazel too. Okay.
But River's better.
I mean, River doesn't think so. She's like, how come you didn't? I love that name. And you're like, okay, well, I'm like regretful that I told you that now. Like, what if I've said, Dad wanted to name you Lisa. How do you feel about that?
Well, thank goodness that didn't win out.
You're welcome, River, that I spared you that.
It's funny, the sleepover where they were, which we've now talked about ad nauseum, apologies. The little girl whose birthday it was, her middle name is Magnolia. So now when we play house, Bennett wants to be Magnolia.
Oh.
Yeah, she's real big into Magnolia now.
I do like that name, Magnolia.
Yeah, but like Sam, when we play house, is always Kai, which I'm like, where did Kai come from? Kai.
So when
the names they pick are, I'm like, I have no idea where this came from.
When I was a kid, I wanted my name to be Sky.
Oh.
Like I had a stage name like Sky DeCarlo.
Oh, wow. That's
it was
very
specific. So, I mean, I feel like this is.
You know what I wanted my name to be?
What?
Bennett.
Really? And here we are.
So she better like it because that's what I want.
Of course she doesn't. She's your child, so she doesn't. Like that's Murphy's Law.
Anyway, if you're especially I was thinking too, yeah, these are good. And especially if you're going to family Thanksgiving or a Friendsgiving or something, a holiday gathering where perhaps there might be some tension. We just had a big election. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. If you need some good topics that are safe, I feel like
these are safe.
These are a good place to start. Maybe, I mean, I would even pull it up on your phone, have some screenshots. You can pull it out under the table and be like, let's switch topics. Take here.
Notes. Yeah, like hold on, I got something.
How about this?
Something.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a moms. Moms. And unlike the usual Katie mums the words.
It's not a beauty product?
It's not a beauty product, you guys.
Bummer.
This is River loves those bracelet kits with all the beads. You guys know what I'm talking about? All the beads, and you're struggling with the little string and you can't get it. So River had a play date the other day with some friends, and they the mom invited us in for a drink. So we were chatting, and the girls were coming in and out. And have you ever seen these? These are it's called it's like a loom. It's like the rubber band bracelet.
Yes, we have one. Yes.
Now, here's my disclaimer. You will still get those stupid rubber bands everywhere. But they're so much easier to do. You're not trying to thread the beads, and you're not trying to try tie.
And they love them, and they will love them for years. Ella Ray and Henry will still pull it out and do it. Yeah.
So I got River one,
and they're not expensive.
It's $14.99 at Target, and it's huge. I mean, there's probably a bunch of different brands. The one I got her is this Rainbow Loom Deluxe bracelet kit. And it's just so much nicer because there's just so much easier to do.
You don't have to help. You don't have to tie on the starter bead. You don't have to tie the end of it.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I love those.
Yes.
We've gone through, I mean, I can't tell you how many rubber band bracelets we probably have.
And again,
I'm
sorry because you will have those little rubber bands everywhere, but you'll have those beads everywhere too. So
it's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, our second article. This was one of my favorite articles we've had in a long time. It comes from NPR. And it's the title is "Why is it so hard for parents to let their kids quit?" And I think if you are a parent, this really resonates with you.
Which you probably are if you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, you might be. But I just think this is a common thing that comes up probably. No, and maybe even no matter your kid's age, by the way. I don't know. I can't speak to older kids, but I even remember when River was, 2 and 3 and doing soccer shots. This was just a topic of conversation. So this article starts out, it can be hard for parents to know when a kid is ready to stop taking part in an extracurricular activity, classes and sports, can encourage grit and foster belonging. But for some kids, they can also be a stress-inducing obligation. And for parents as well, by the way. So they reach out to an expert, and this expert says, this child psychologist says, in these situations, the best thing to do is to avoid rushing to fix the problem. Instead, get curious, listen, and provide the kid the experience of being heard. So here are some things, some hard conversations to have with your kids about quitting. If it comes up, if your kid is signed up for an activity, for a sport, and they want to quit, these are the things that you can ask them to sort of dive deeper into it. So the first one, and I think this one is huge, the first one is to examine why you, the parent, care so much. The problem might be you. If your kid is wanting to quit, elicits a strong reaction in you, unpack that. A lot of times our intentions get muddied by our own desires. To me, especially when you have kids who are in that like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 period there, where to me, like extracurriculars are supposed to be like just fun, like an opportunity for them to meet friends, get some exercise. This is not that serious. If you don't want them to quit and they want to quit, I think you need to figure out what's going on with you. Number 2 is ask your kid what's going on. You might be surprised by what you learn. Number 3 is pay attention to your child when they are complaining. Maybe they're sensitive to a coach's raised voice, or they're too shy to talk to other kids. And those are issues that you can help them fix. Number 4, consider your child's temperament. This was so interesting. Are they a dandelion or orchid?
I never heard this. Had you?
But it makes a lot of sense. Dandelions are hardy and resilient. You can
I think it's dandelion.
What am I saying?
Dandelion? Is it dandelion?
Well, I mean, when you look at it, it says dandelions. You're saying it's dandelion?
I don't know. I always thought it was.
Well, tomato, my friend.
Interesting. Continue.
They are hardy and resilient. You can plant it in a crack in the cement and forget to water it. And not only will the dandelion survive, it will probably thrive. But some kids are orchids, and orchids are sensitive. They require just the right amount of water, humidity, and temperature. And if you don't get it just right, they don't adapt. So is like your kid one of those people that like,
who cares? Let's move on.
Who cares? Like, you're going to be fine. Just go to practice. Or is it going to be something that's going to be harder for the
coaxing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a 5th one here. Yes. And the 5th one is come up with a creative compromise. Quit or tough it out aren't the only 2 options. It talks about like, okay, if it's like a sporting event, like, all right, fine, you don't have to participate, but we're going to go and stand on the sidelines. We've had to do that, by the way. River broke her arm and she has not been able to do soccer, but Brian is the soccer coach. My husband is the soccer coach. So we've had to go to all of these early morning soccer games, and River has had to sit on the sidelines. And that's been an interesting lesson in and of itself, by the way.
I just had this conversation with Henry, who loves soccer when he gets there, but sometimes it's very hard. Like, I don't want to go. I want to quit. And yeah, I think some of this, like, what is it? Are you hungry? Or is it? And for him, I think is that he feels too overscheduled. It's like 2 practices a week and a game. That's like every other day, essentially, right? That he has soccer, and that like feels like a lot in his 8-year-old brain.
Which might be a lot.
Yeah. But then when he gets there, he loves it.
Yeah.
And he has so much fun. And so I had this conversation with him recently and kind of had to say, like, well, what is it? Like, do you need like a bigger snack before you go? Do you need more like free play time before you go? And I think he feels like he's missing out on like downtime where he can like do what he wants to do, play Legos, relax.
You, Henry.
Like, and I get that. And I kind of said to him, I said, look, I get that. It's and this is something that was ingrained in me as a child, which I think I'm just maybe shouldn't be passing down. But I'm like, if you sign up and commit, you got to like do the season. And I said, now, look, if there's like a day or 2 where you just don't feel up to it, that's okay. You don't have to go every single time.
Yeah.
But like, if you want to legit quit, that's a bigger conversation. And I feel like once you've committed to a team, it's just your kind of duty to finish out the season. We don't have to do it next season.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that's maybe too harsh. But I do feel like talking through a lot of it and do you not love it? Or is there something else going on, and what's the reason? And can we work around it so that you can still do this activity
that you clearly love,
but also not be as anxious about going to practice? But I do think it's tough. I think that kids want to do these activities, but I think they are exhausted. The school day's long. They've got a lot that they're juggling. They've got homework. They've got all the things. And of course, ours are relatively young. I think it's only going to get, of course, more challenging.
Well, and that's the thing is like at this point, I feel like as a parent, it's your job. Like, River's 6. So it's like my job to sort of like guide her through.
Right.
Like I know
Manage
what's
her
best
schedule.
for you.
Yeah.
And I know you really love this and I get it. But like you still, now, once River is old enough, and I don't know what that age is, to sort of tell me and be able to make it, I don't want to do this. I don't like it. I don't feel like going. Then that's where I draw the line. Okay, well then you don't sign up. We're not going to do it, Yeah. And it's hard to know where that line is.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's also how much do the kids want to do it? Is it something that they're really getting excited about? I do think once you hit those teenage years,
you can't force a teenager,
You can't force a teenager, but also like, then what else are you doing? Like you just coming home and like maybe getting into trouble? Like, I don't know. I do think it's a tricky one for sure. I did like the dandelion.
The dandelion.
Orchid.
Dandelion. Dandelion.
Metaphor though. I think that's good.
Yeah.
And I think you do have to be very sensitive to which type of child you have and how you play that. Okay. Our last article of the week is from Newsweek. I love this. Tired dad perfects the art of horizontal parenting so he can nap and play. I think there was Katie's not a Bluey person. I think there's an episode of Bluey that is exactly about this. The article starts out by saying new parents have an average of 6 years of sleep deprivation, right? Because you're just so tired with newborn phase and yada, yada, yada. And it just goes on forever. So this dad decided to get creative and try to find ways that he could lay down and even doze off, but still is helping the children play. So if you're wondering how he does this, he does a lot of back of his t-shirt, like Sharpie designs. He drew like a race car track and then like lays on his belly on the floor and the kids like do their cars, which totally has happened in our house. Like, Sam will run a car for hours over whatever if there's a little line there. He's also drawn a tic-tac-toe board and given them little X's and O's and they can play tic-tac-toe on his back. He created some sort of like whack-a-mole cardboard box situation that he literally just put on his back. I love it. I think it's hilarious. I always get worried with these types of things that there's going to be those like trolls who come out and are like,
I was surprised that there weren't.
There weren't, which I'm like, thank goodness. There shouldn't be. That look, the sleep is real. It's hard. And yeah, there's those times that you're just like, I just need a minute. I don't want to turn on the TV. What else can I do with these kids?
I know. I think this guy is now his wife is saying that he might write a book just because he has come up with so many creative ways to be horizontal while playing with his kids. What a shame that this is like where we are as parents, by the way. Like what a testament to parenting and just how difficult it is.
I will say normally when I don't think I could fall asleep. Now there are definitely times that I'm like,
yeah, but then you don't have to think.
Yeah, can we figure out something to play? Where like if our kids are like, can we play school? Okay, can I be the teacher on the sofa that like reads a book? Like, sometimes you just want to be like sitting.
Yeah.
And relaxing just a smidge. I'm always on the weekends trying to find activities where I can like still be drinking coffee.
I know. Yeah. Any of that. Or just sitting passively. I love a playing passively, which, listen, not all the time, but it's exhausting. Being a parent is exhausting.
My win for this week is
did you come up with some sort of game where you can fall asleep while playing with your kids?
No. In fact, the opposite. I had like the opposite of this weekend. I was not able to relax at all because we were potty training Sam.
Oh, how did it go?
Well, this is the win. He's doing amazing.
What?
Yes.
Yay.
So because
I saw you yesterday when he was like I saw it Tuesday when he was going back to school.
Back to school. And I was like, I'm not sure how it's going to go. So listen, we do the potty training method where they're naked the first day. You watch them like a hawk looking for the signs. And then as soon as they show a sign, you pick them up and run them to the potty.
It's a book.
Yeah.
It's a book, which we'll link.
Sure, yeah, we can link it. It's called Oh Crap.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember it.
Yeah. But it's we've used it on a couple of our kids now, and I really think it's the way to go if you happen to be in the potty training
I think so
stage.
too. I used it. My sister, who is potty training her 2-year-old, is doing that
exact same weekend I was potty training Sam.
But she is like, you two are like talking to me about the book. Like, it's good.
It's funny. I did have to like reread it a little bit. And then I was like, gosh, you'd think by the 4th kid, I would just like have this thing memorized, but I don't. Anyway. And then on the 2nd and 3rd days, you can start introducing maybe pants if you have to, but you still don't wear underwear. They're commando. There's a whole line of thought that like once you put the underwear on them, they think of it more like a diaper. So they feel more comfortable going. But anyway, so it was 3 straight days of me literally like you're just on it. That's all you're doing is trying to prevent this kid from having accidents. And I do think it works, but it is exhausting.
Yeah.
Because you are just, that's all you're doing. And like anytime you have to like
hyper focused,
cook dinner or something, you're just like trying to like check in like, oh gosh, have they peed? And then I keep asking like the big kids to watch them, which they were very helpful. The other kids were very helpful. It did get to a point where they were like, Sam, if you go sit on the potty, I'll give you some candy.
Oh.
Like they were starting to take over the candy distribution. And I was like, I mean, I don't even want to know how many pieces of candy that kid had over the weekend. It was ridiculous. But long story short, he went back to preschool after his long weekend of potty training. And you're like so anxious. If any of these parents, if any of you have been in this situation, you're like, oh gosh, how did he do? You're like so petrified that you're going to pick him up and they're going to be like, we put him back in diapers, total failure, like start over again in a month. And they were like, we've got some great news. No accidents, pooped in the potty.
That is wild.
Yeah. Yay. Yeah, he did great. And then we're only on day 3 now, I guess. But then the next day, same thing. Great, no accidents. He's like.
He's gotten it. After 4 kids, you finally figured it out. Good on you, Sam.
Now look, it's not saying that it's like perfect.
It's not a straight line.
It's not never a straight line. Well, and the other thing is he's still like this morning he wakes up. I want my diaper. I don't want underwear. I don't want to go to school in underwear. Like still throwing big fits, and even you like have to force him on the potty, but then he goes.
Yeah,
it's still not completely pleasant, and like, oh, I have to go potty
You'll
now.
Get there.
But he's not having that many accidents, knock on wood, and he seems to be doing it. So we'll take it as a win.
I do remember that book that it was like, you will want to know when will come a day when you're not worried about potty training and accidents. Because it isn't. I mean, if you've had kids, you're listening to this, you know that like once your kid's like potty trained, especially those first couple of like weeks, months, like, you're always on, you're like always like sort of watching, like your kid you'll be like driving to the grocery store and your kid will be like, I have to poop. And you're like, no, like you pull over, you pull out the potty. Like, it's like, when will that day ever get there? And I remember thinking that. And then of course, like one day you wake up and you're like,
you're there. I will say I'm really pleased about the thought of like not putting more diapers in the landfill.
Yes.
Like I'm sorry, Earth. We have not been kind to you with our 4 children and how many diapers we've put.
Well,
we should have gone the cloth diaper route, but I just didn't have it in me.
It's exhausting. Anyway, congratulations. Congratulations to Sam. That's a big milestone.
Thanks.
You have survived. Because I remember talking to you last week and you were like,
you just don't know. You just don't know how it's going to go. He's a very smart kid, I feel. I mean, of course, every parent thinks their kid is smart. We all thought he was going to do great, but you just never know. You just never know. And now he's like,
I feel like I was like, Sam is smart. And you were like, well, I was like,
you just never know. But he seems to be catching on.
Love it.
We're using the potty. Things are happening.
Love it.
Cool. Okay. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a great one. We'll see you right back here next week.
Anchor Moms is a Sinclair podcast produced out of WLOS in Asheville. We're your hosts, Katie Killen and Karen Zakalek. Anchor Moms is edited by Matthew Yates.
For more information on the topics discussed in this episode and to stay up to date on future episodes, follow us on Instagram @AnchorMoms.
You can follow Anchor Moms on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Know a parent who could benefit from this week's Anchor Moms episode? Your recommendations help our show to grow, so spread the word.